strolling along the Seine with the Eiffel Tower sparkling above. It's the picture of romance, isn't it? But beyond the glittering beauty, Paris hides a world of untold stories and hidden challenges. Are you ready to explore the real Paris? The one that goes beyond the postcards? Let's go Eagle Discovery dive in and uncover the truth. Paris by night, the dream and the reality. Paris is celebrated worldwide for its charm, but behind the picturesque scenes lies a city layered with complexity. Take the Seine River, for instance, a focal point of Parisian beauty and a gathering spot for locals and tourists alike. By night, the river shimmers under the glow of the city lights, but these same areas become hotspots for pickpockets and scammers targeting distracted visitors. Despite extensive efforts by the police, organized groups operate in many tourist-heavy areas, particularly near the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, and Montmartre. Beyond crime, there is another story to tell: the lives of those who struggle daily to survive in this glamorous metropolis. In areas like Belleville and La Chapelle, Paris's poorer neighborhoods, residents face economic hardship, lack of affordable housing, and sometimes limited access to basic services. The city's skyrocketing cost of living is making it nearly impossible for many to keep up, leading to a growing homeless population. Social workers and nonprofits work tirelessly to help those on the margins, but the resources are often insufficient to meet the overwhelming needs. Furthermore, Paris is a city of contrasts where history and modernity converge, often unequally. Luxury stores and grand boulevards sit side by side with lesser-seen areas marked by graffiti and crumbling infrastructure, reminders of the city's past protests and the continuing social struggles. Even among the city's iconic landmarks, traces of past revolutions linger, telling stories of a Paris that isn't just elegant but resilient and gritty. Homelessness in Paris, the unseen struggle. The homelessness crisis in Paris paints a heartbreaking contrast to its famed elegance. Beyond the gleaming facades and bustling boulevards, a growing number of people have no place to call home, relegated to finding shelter in alleys, under bridges, and on the steps of historic landmarks that millions come to admire. Once a thriving culinary capital for small business owners like Jacques, the pandemic exacerbated economic hardships, pushing thousands, including previously self-sufficient individuals, into the streets. Jacques' story mirrors that of many others whose lives were abruptly altered by economic challenges, health crises, and a support system stretched thin. As the city's skyline sparkles each night, entire families huddle under bridges, and individuals struggle through cold winters with just a few layers to shield them. Near landmarks like the Louvre and Gare de Lyon, tents and makeshift shelters have become a common sight, silently echoing the stories of those whose struggles remain largely unseen by tourists. Social programs, though present, are often unable to keep up with the magnitude of the issue, leaving a growing population vulnerable to harsh weather, food insecurity, and safety concerns. Efforts to address this issue have led to increased visibility and awareness, with community organizations, soup kitchens, and some local residents stepping up to offer assistance. Charities and nonprofit groups are working tirelessly, distributing meals and blankets, advocating for affordable housing, and pushing for policy reforms. Yet the resources are limited, and the structural challenges are immense. This hidden side of Paris speaks volumes about the city's economic disparities and the struggles of its marginalized communities. As much as Paris represents beauty, romance, and culture, its dark side reminds us of the resilience and humanity that lie within its neglected streets. For every glittering café terrace, there's a shadowed corner where someone seeks shelter, and behind every iconic monument, there's a narrative of endurance, compassion, and the hope that, one day, the city will open its doors a little wider for all. The Catacombs, Paris's subterranean secrets. The Paris catacombs hold an almost mythic allure. a vast subterranean network where history, mortality, and mystery intertwine. These winding tunnels, which stretch beneath the city's vibrant landscape, offer a stark contrast to Paris's lively above-ground life. Originally mined for limestone, these quarries were repurposed in the late 18th century to address a critical issue. Parisian cemeteries, particularly the notorious Cemetery of the Innocents, were overcrowded and unsanitary. Bones were transferred en masse, filling the quarries with the remains of over 6 million people, creating an underground ossuary of unimaginable scale. The catacombs, though initially a grim solution to a public health crisis, have taken on a life of their own. Today, they're a mixture of memorial and mystery, drawing explorers, artists, and historians alike. Cataphiles often venture into sections of the catacombs closed to the public, risking hefty fines as they navigate these silent tunnels. For these thrill-seekers, the catacombs represent more than history. They're a playground of clandestine discovery, filled with hidden art installations, makeshift theaters, and even underground parties, all carefully concealed within the city's depths. The lore surrounding the catacombs only adds to their allure. Stories of hauntings, eerie encounters, and labyrinthine paths that seem to lead nowhere abound. Some parts are said to contain carvings and sculptures made by those who frequented these tunnels in centuries past, creating a surreal, almost sacred space in the depths of Paris. Visitors to the restricted areas have left behind traces of their own, paintings, graffiti, and sculptures that add a modern layer to this ancient place of rest. These underground galleries are largely unknown to the general public, but are deeply cherished by those who wander within. This underworld, with its dimly lit corridors and walls lined with carefully arranged bones, reveals an intimate, forgotten side of Paris, a side that contrasts sharply with its image as the City of Lights. Air pollution, the unseen threat above. Paris, often celebrated as the City of Light, faces a silent yet pervasive threat from air pollution that casts an invisible shadow over its historic beauty. In recent years, the city has battled rising pollution levels, affecting not just the skyline, but also the daily lives of residents. The hazy mornings are a reminder of the struggle, especially for families like Elise's, who are directly impacted by the compromised air quality. Claire's asthma is just one example of how vulnerable groups suffer disproportionately, as young children and the elderly are particularly sensitive to airborne pollutants. The city's leadership has responded with several initiatives to curb pollution. Beyond car-free days that temporarily reduce emissions, Paris has invested in an extensive network of bike lanes to encourage sustainable transport. The VLib bike-sharing program has grown in popularity, with more residents and tourists opting for bikes over cars. Meanwhile, green walls and urban forests are being cultivated throughout Paris to absorb pollutants and improve air quality. These walls, adorned with dense, air-purifying plants, bring much-needed green space to a densely populated urban environment. Despite these commendable efforts, challenges persist. The city's high population density and heavy reliance on transportation continue to strain these pollution control measures. On days when pollution peaks, authorities urge residents to avoid strenuous outdoor activities, while schools keep children indoors during recess. Paris also faces a difficult balance between its economic needs and environmental goals, as industries and tourism generate substantial revenue but contribute to the pollution burden. Scientists and policymakers are pushing for stricter regulations and more ambitious goals. Ideas such as expanding green zones, improving public transportation, and adopting electric buses are in the pipeline. However, the question remains, will these steps be sufficient to mitigate the long-term health effects of pollution? The city's journey toward a cleaner future is complex, requiring sustained effort and a collective commitment to preserving not only Paris's allure, but also the well-being of its citizens. As Parisians continue to champion environmental reform, their efforts may serve as a model for other global cities wrestling with similar issues. Pickpockets and scams caution for visitors. While Paris's allure captivates visitors with its grandeur and elegance, it also draws pickpockets and scammers who are adept at turning unsuspecting tourists into easy targets. Operating with impressive subtlety and speed, these thieves blend into the city's iconic sights: the bustling metro, the lines snaking around the Louvre, and the lively open-air markets, each filled with unsuspecting visitors engrossed in the sights. These crowded places become the ideal hunting grounds for opportunistic thieves who rely on distraction and quick movements to pull off their scams. The gold ring scam is a classic Parisian trick. A scammer pretends to find a gold ring on the ground, making it appear as though you dropped it. With feigned generosity, they offer it to you, only to demand payment for the supposed favor. Caught off guard, many tourists feel obligated to hand over cash in gratitude. Another infamous trick is the friendship bracelet scam, often seen around the steps of Sacré-Cœur. Here, vendors slip bracelets around tourists' wrists before they have a chance to decline, then insist on payment. Pickpockets also work in pairs or groups, with one person serving as the distraction, while another swipes wallets, phones, or bags. This teamwork is particularly common in metro stations and popular tourist spots like the Eiffel Tower and Champs-Élysées. Thieves often appear to accidentally bump into someone or cause a minor scene, diverting attention just long enough for them to snatch valuables. To steer clear of these traps, vigilance is key. Avoid engaging with strangers offering unsolicited help, particularly if they seem overly friendly or insistent. It's wise to wear a crossbody bag with zippers and to keep your hand on your belongings, especially in busy places. When using the metro, be aware of your surroundings and avoid leaving valuables in easily accessible pockets. In a city as enchanting as Paris, a few safety measures can make the difference between a dream trip and a costly experience. Enjoy the romance, savor the art, but stay alert, because in this beautiful city, a bit of caution goes a long way. The counterfeit market, a shadow economy. In bustling Parisian markets, it's common to find stalls lined with what appear to be luxury items, handbags stamped with Louis Vuitton or Chanel logos, sold at prices that seem too good to be true. These counterfeit goods are part of an underground economy that thrives in the city's shadows, posing challenges for both local businesses and global luxury brands. For local shops and legitimate sellers, competing with counterfeit vendors who offer strikingly similar items at a fraction of the price can be an uphill battle. For international brands, the financial impact is enormous, as revenue losses from counterfeit goods cut deeply into profits and erode brand integrity. Behind each vendor selling fake designer bags is often a story of struggle and resilience. Take Ahmed, for instance, who came to Paris seeking opportunity. Without legal documentation, securing stable work is nearly impossible for him, and the counterfeit trade becomes a last resort to make ends meet. "I never imagined I'd be selling fake bags," he explains, highlighting the tough choices faced by many who turn to this shadow economy as a means of survival. For Ahmed, and many others like him, the risks are high. Police crackdowns on counterfeit sales are frequent, with authorities imposing fines and even detaining vendors. These measures are intended to combat the counterfeit industry, but often push sellers deeper into financial hardship, creating a vicious cycle where survival instincts clash with the law. The presence of this counterfeit market underscores complex social issues within Paris. Many vendors in these markets are migrants and asylum seekers whose dreams of a better life are tempered by the harsh reality of limited job prospects and legal barriers. The counterfeit trade becomes a means to an end, a way to provide for families and send money back home, even if it comes with the risk of penalties. The issue speaks to broader societal questions around integration, support for undocumented migrants, and the economic pressures that drive people into precarious work. This market, bustling with the illusion of luxury, reveals a different side of Paris, one where dreams of prosperity meet the difficult reality of survival, and where each knockoff handbag tells a story of resilience, sacrifice, and the pursuit of hope amid adversity. Digital crime, the invisible threat. In Paris, not all threats are visible on the bustling streets. Some hide in inboxes and online interactions. Cybercrime is an insidious danger, quietly lurking in the digital world. For example, Sophie, a freelance graphic designer, experienced the devastating impact of a phishing scam. One deceptive email, crafted to look like it was from her bank, led to her life savings disappearing in a single click. As our lives become increasingly digital, Paris has recognized the growing risk and is investing significantly in cybersecurity. Public awareness campaigns are underway, educating citizens on how to identify suspicious emails and safeguard their personal information. With initiatives aiming to create a robust digital defense system, the city is working to build a virtual shield, ensuring that Parisians can navigate the digital world with greater security and confidence. The Forgotten Suburbs, a tale of inequality. Beyond the elegant avenues and iconic monuments of Paris lie the banlieues, suburban neighborhoods that often go unnoticed by tourists. These areas, home to young residents like Amadou, are rich with dreams, but fraught with obstacles. Schools in these suburbs are underfunded, leaving many students without the resources they need to thrive, and youth unemployment reaches as high as 40% in some neighborhoods. Many residents feel isolated from the opportunities of the city, struggling against barriers that keep them on the fringes of society. Though Paris's glittering surface often captures the world's attention, the stories from these communities tell a different side of the city, one filled with resilience, hope, and the fight for a fair chance. The beautiful facades of Paris hide countless untold stories. Each street and each face in the crowd represents a narrative waiting to be heard. As travelers, we can choose to look beyond the city's polished image and connect with the reality that many Parisians live daily. Whether it's by engaging with locals, participating in community events, or simply recognizing the lives behind the lights, there are ways to appreciate Paris as more than a postcard city, but as a place with diverse, heartfelt stories. To truly understand Paris, we must look beyond its famous landmarks and romanticized images. While the city undoubtedly has its share of beauty and grandeur, the struggles faced by its marginalized communities, the invisible threats, and the ever-growing inequalities are reminders of the complexities that lie beneath the surface. The unseen sides of Paris, the homelessness, pollution, scams, and economic hardships, offer a different yet equally important perspective of the city. By acknowledging these realities, we gain a deeper appreciation for the resilience and hope that persist in the face of adversity. Paris, in all its contradictions, continues to captivate not only through its allure, but also through the untold stories of those who call it home. Thanks for exploring Paris's hidden side with us. If you enjoyed this journey, please like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you won't miss out on future adventures. Comment where you'd like us to go next. See you in the next video.